Hi friends! Today we're talking about handling stress before butcher and how it can affect meat quality. We'll talk about the meat science behind stress, and I'll give you practical tips you can use to make sure you and your animals are prepared for hauling on butcher day. You're already putting in the work to raise your own meat, and with a few management practices, you can make sure that meat will be the highest quality possible. Let's get to it. Hey friends, welcome to the Get Goatwise podcast. Are you longing to raise goats and other animals for food but don't know where to start? Do you want to be more self-sufficient and less dependent on the grocery store? Do you wish you had a mentor to walk you through raising livestock? Hi, I'm Millie, animal scientist, cattle girl turned goat rancher, co-owner of Dry Creek Livestock, and simple living enthusiast. For 15 years, I've been on a mission to raise all of our own meat, eggs, and dairy. Here, we'll talk about raising goats and other homestead livestock, how to create sustainable animal management systems that actually work, and a bit of off-grid life with kids and livestock. If you're ready to take control of your food supply, raise livestock with confidence, and provide your family with the most nourishing meat, eggs, and dairy available, you're in the right place. Kick off your muck boots, pour a cup of coffee, and let's talk livestock. Hey there! Here's what's happening on the ranch. Daily electric fence moves are on the schedule until we get stopped by frost. And once the electric fence is moved, Stacy and one or two of the kids head off to a fence job for the day. That'll pretty much be the story for the next 2 or 3 months, or as long as the weather holds. We had some much needed rain last week, and the temps have stayed above freezing, so the fall regrowth in the pastures is looking really good right now. Good fall rain is such a relief from the hot, dry, dusty summers here. Sage is headed off on another adventure, just for a week this time, but it should be a good one, and I'll report in on that later. I'm still making it to farmer's market every week, and there are 3 weeks left for our local market. The bottle calves are probably ready to wean, but I'm still milking goats, so they're still getting milk once a day. I'm not quite ready to dry off the does yet. I have soap to make, and as much as it feels like a big job, I enjoy the quiet time milking in the evenings, so for now, I'll just keep milking. As we were loading up the steer, heifer, and hogs last week to go to butcher, it reminded me of something that happened last year, and it's pretty important when it comes to meat quality. The night before we were hauling hogs to the butcher, I had a customer call me in a bit of a panic, concerned about the processor we were taking hogs to. The customer had a friend who had used that processor, and the pork was so bad they couldn't eat it. Well, I've been using this processor for years, close to a decade, and I've never had a problem. So I started asking some questions. It's a small community around here, and it didn't take much to put the pieces together. The friend wasn't the one who raised the pig. They bought it from someone else who hauled it to the processor for them. I asked how the loading went. Well, it was hard. The pig wouldn't load, and after chasing the pig around for a long time, they finally tackled it and dragged it into the trailer. Then it got hauled in the trailer for an hour and a half by folks who don't have the experience or knowledge to drive smart when you're hauling meat animals to butcher. My guess is that once they arrived at the butcher, they probably had to shove the pig out of the trailer, and the whole experience was extremely stressful for the hog and the humans. The hog wasn't familiar with the trailer or being chased, loaded, hauled, or unloaded. The biological response to all that stress does not make for a high-quality meat product. In fact, you're almost guaranteed to have a bad product. The best butcher in the world can't fix that level of stress in the final meat product. It ended up being a good educational moment, and I thought it would be helpful to talk about it here. If you're raising your own meat, the last thing you want is to put in the investment of time, money, and feed into an animal and then have the meat be low quality or even inedible. Let's talk about the science behind meat quality. When an animal is dispatched, oxygen supply to the body ends and muscles switch to anaerobic metabolism. In the anaerobic environment, Glycogen, which is the energy stored in the muscles, is broken down into lactic acid. The lactic acid lowers the pH of the muscle tissue, and this ideal pH during the process of rigor mortis results in tender, bright-colored meat with the proper texture and moisture. When animals are stressed prior to slaughter, their bodies release cortisol and adrenaline, which cause them to burn through their muscle glycogen reserves. When glycogen is depleted prior to slaughter, lactic acid is not produced and the muscle pH doesn't reach the ideal level. Acute stress right before slaughter can cause an increase in adrenaline, which speeds up glycogen breakdown while the carcass is still warm, lowers the pH too fast, and results in PSE meat, which stands for pale, soft, and exudative. This is most common in pigs. Chronic stress, like hauling, extended fasting, change in environment, temperature, or mixing with other animals, depletes muscle glycogen before slaughter, which results in lower lactic acid production and the muscle pH stays too high. This is most common in beef, goats, and lambs, and the meat is dark, firm, and dry, abbreviated as DFD. In the beef world, we call these carcasses dark cutters. That's the brief biochemical science behind stress-related low-quality meat. Now, how do we prevent it? Here are 3 things you can do specifically to eliminate stress prior to butcher. Number 1, the first and best option is to hire an on-farm butcher. They come to your place, dispatch the animal in its home environment. When done well, it's fast, 0 stress, and the easiest way to ensure that hauling and handling stress don't interfere with your meat quality. In our area, we haven't had a mobile butcher in a long time. Just recently we have a new one, but I've not used them yet because we have a great relationship with the 2 butchers we use. Number 2, pre-slaughter handling. If you can't hire a mobile butcher, you need to be planning ahead to butcher day and getting the animals used to being loaded, hauled, and unloaded. The best way to do this is to practice. Start when they're small and load them in the trailer every couple weeks until they're loading easily. Once a month, take them for a drive, and when you get back, let them sit in the trailer to settle down and then unload them. Here are some tips to make it easier. Put their feed in the trailer. Let them load in the trailer, eat, and then let them back out. Make it pleasant for them to get in the trailer. For hogs, you'll need a ramp or steps. We have found that most hogs prefer steps. Again, make it easy and pleasant for them to get in the trailer, have a snack, and get back out. The first couple of times, loading will usually require a little more time and a lot more patience. But if you're consistent, you'll be jumping livestock into the trailer in 5 minutes every week, and they'll be happy to be there. If you drive them around a few times once they've loaded, they won't be nearly as surprised by what it feels like to be in motion inside the trailer, and they won't have a high stress reaction to being hauled. On the day you load them to haul to the butcher, it'll be easy for them and for you. Number 3, hauling. Be aware of your driving on the way to the butcher. Think about what it's like to be in that trailer. They can't see what's coming, so all they can do is react to what happens. They're trying to keep their balance, not get jostled around, and not get hurt. If you make sure your stops and accelerations are slow and easy, and lane changes and turns are gentle, you'll make their trip a lot better and their chronic stress a lot less. If your animals are prepared for loading and hauling, and you drive like you're hauling precious cargo, you'll not only reduce the biochemical issues of high stress before butcher, you'll also be much less likely to have bruises and blood splashes in the meat. I hope this episode helps you plan ahead and prepare your livestock for butcher day so the meat you raise will be the best quality possible. After you've put in all the hard work and care to raise them, the final act of stewardship is to show respect for the meat they're providing by making sure their end of life is calm and low stress. If you have any questions, come on over to the community and start a conversation. That's at getgoatwise.com/community. See you next week. Hey there, thanks for listening today. I'm so glad you're here. If this episode helped you or encouraged you in some way, share the link with your homesteading friends. And if you really want to help me out, click on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and a review. You can connect with me on Instagram or email linked in the show notes, and meet me back here soon for more Get Goat Wise.